My husband takes his best friend on vacations while I stay with the kids. Story. My husband and I, 30s, haven't been on a trip out of country for years, while he goes every year with his best friend. His reasons for going with him is because they both go to attend sporting events. This year, my husband told me I could go with him and his friend since they were visiting a new destination. He paid for my ticket and everything else since I'm a stay-at-home mom and have no job. The kids were left with my mom. However, when I found out that he had booked first class for himself and his friend while I got economy, I just couldn't hold my tongue. I confronted him about it, and he at first refused to discuss. Then, when the argument got heated, he yelled, "I paid for your ticket for F's sake. Isn't that enough?" Then kept on about how I should stop acting like I was royalty, and that if I come to think about it, even economy is fine for me since I technically don't work anyway. I cried because of what he said, but decided to just not go altogether. He changed his tone and started begging me to just go with what he planned, but I declined. I went to pick the kids from my mom's house, and he came back 3 hours later, huffing and buffing about what happened. His friend sent me a text calling me entitled and said this was the reason why he didn't want my husband to take me with them, and I just proved his point. I did not respond, but I blocked him since he's gotten increasingly rude over the past few months. He, my husband, said I keep crying about being excluded, and this is what happens when he finally decides to include me. Amethyst Shoal for not settling for economy? By the way, he's perfectly capable of financing the trip. Response 1. If you're a stay-at-home mom, then all the money he earns is shared funds. There is no him paying. In fact, you paid for his first-class ticket as much as he paid for your economy ticket. The level of disrespect is astounding. Divorce him and get half plus alimony, not the a-hole. Reply 1. I hate to jump on the Redditor divorce wagon, but in this case, it's so obvious how much he doesn't care or even respect OP, not the a-hole X1 mother-in-law. Reply 2. I'm not sure why he even married OP. It seems like he's already in a long-term relationship with his friend. Reply 3. Quite literally, I suspect. I've never heard of a married man going on trips with a male friend to that extent. Seems quite sus. Reply 4. I hate to jump on the Redditor divorce wagon. The Redditor divorce wagon isn't a bad thing. The posts that get the most upvotes are the ones that are usually the memisot shocking and outrageous, so it makes sense that divorce is often suggested. Reply 5. Agreed. He should have upgraded you to celebrate your trip together and a break from your responsibilities. At the very least, swap seats. Not the a-hole all the way. You deserve better. Response 2. Is your husband having an affair with his friend? Why is his friend so rude to you? And why is friend being treated like the spouse in this situation? Whether or not he's having an affair, he's definitely shown you how he feels about you, not the a-hole. Reply 1. NTA if he's going to control your life with money like this, tell him it's time for him to pay for daycare so you could get a job. You're married and stay home to watch his kids, so it is not only his money. Ask him if he would rather pay child support. Reply 2 was going to say this. If he thinks she doesn't work, then he can start paying someone else for childcare, laundry, cooking, cleaning, other household maintenance, etc. Stay-at-home parenting is a job, not a paid one, but a socio-economically important job, not the a-hole. Reply 3. I wondered if he speaks rudely to his friend about her, and 1. worsens the friend's opinion about her, and 2. the friend sees this on some level as permission to be rude. Reply 4. Yeah, my first thought was about what he must be saying to his friend for his friend to think behavior like that is okay. Response 3. NTA. Sounds like your husband is more interested in keeping an unpaid nanny/caretaker rather than a wife/partner/equal. OP. Do you have the option to become more independent in your marriage? Perhaps get a job/side hustle to earn money, etc.? Do you have a separate savings account? Who handles all the money in the relationship? Do you have your own social circle that your husband doesn't interfere with? You don't have to answer these questions to me, but please take a long, hard look at your relationship from all these perspectives, and if it comes down to it, please walk away. We all deserve love and respect in any and every relationship. If this post is a reflection of how your husband treats you on the daily basis, please walk away. Edit. Thank you for the awards, kind strangers. Reply 1. This is such a good response. The only other thing I could add would be to make a written list for yourself of the positives and negatives in this relationship. Sometimes seeing it in writing helps you realize either how much better it is or how much worse. And if your husband thinks as a stay-at-home mom he is doing you some huge favor because he supports you, then go get yourself a job and let him deal with finding daycare, someone to clean and do laundry, as well as cook the meals. Then he might figure just who is actually entitled in the relationship, not the a-hole. Reply 2. It's not easy being a stay-at-home mom. The chores and being on your feet all day is physically exhausting, but it's mentally exhausting as well. Always having an ear out, like a sixth sense, the patience, worrying, teaching. I can't sit down unless it's to play because if I do, I'll get tired. It's like a runner's high. Reply 3. OP doesn't need to become more independent within the marriage. She needs to get a divorce as soon as possible. What he is doing is financial and emotional abuse. Reply 4. A divorce will be easier if she has some independence and doesn't have to worry about money, etc., until alimony and child support are figured out, as well as having a support system. Response 4. Not the a-hole, and he bought your ticket? No, you bought your own ticket, because if you are a stay-at-home mom, then 50% of his salary is legally yours. It's not his money to give you. You and he have money together. Reply 1. ONG this OP, please check the divorce laws in your jurisdiction. Stay-at-home mom and sapos are a huge economic force. He couldn't do whatever he does outside the home without your labor inside the home. Not the a-hole. Reply 2. This OP, your staying home has allowed him to have the freedom and flexibility to have that job that pays for his and his friends' first-class travel. I know because my relationship with my husband's job is the same. When I am gone to visit family, suddenly his relationship with work looks very different. He has to be home by a certain time for the kids. He can't travel for work. He has to be available to help with homework. Cook dinner, make breakfast, make sure all their stuff is together for school. And when they were little, on the rare occasion I was out of town, he was responsible for night wakings, getting them to bed on time, etc. No. You are either a full partner in this marriage and all financial decisions are discussed and agreed upon 50/50, or you go back to work immediately so you have the financial flexibility to get out when you are ready to. He does not get to treat you like you are entitled for expecting to be treated like an equal in the marriage. He does not get to treat you as entitled for expecting a first-class ticket if he and his buddy, whom he bought a ticket for, are in first class. Please sit down and start a list of all of the inequities in the marriage. Really think about it. Then make a list of your responsibilities that allow him the freedom and flexibility to live the lifestyle he believes he deserves. Sister, you deserve that same lifestyle. So if his international trip with his buddies, first class all the way, is a priority, then you and your girlfriends deserve an international vacation that is paid for by family funds, and he pays for first-class tickets for all of you. Not the a-hole, but your husband sure is. Honestly, there are a lot of things I've tolerated in my marriage, but this, hands down, is probably the most disrespectful thing I can imagine, and you have every right to feel hurt, angry, and disrespected, because he told you and showed you that his buddy is a much higher priority to him than you are. Response 5. It's clearly not an issue of affordability. What he did has basically telling if I'm forced to bring you on this trip, it's gonna happen on my terms as the breadwinner. And that's kinda effed up. Reply 1. It's not. And it's not the economy class that I had an issue with. If the three of us sat in economy, that would have been one thing, but to have me sit in economy while he and his friend take first class was not something I could do. I may not have money, but I do have self-respect, and I'm sorry if this comes across as arrogant, but I was raised to treat people good and expect to be treated good as well. Reply 2. NTA. Your support being a stay-at-home mom is what allows him to be successful in his job. He doesn't earn his paycheck. You both do. Tally up the cost of a maid, cook, and childcare worker and tell him to deposit the money in an account in just your name. Or tell him he can pay someone else to do this while you go back to work, since he is financially abusing you. You need to seriously consider couples therapy or a divorce. His lack of respect for you and self-entitlement is astounding. Reply 3. He doesn't earn his paycheck, you both do. This is so important, OP, and this is what you tell him. If you were not staying home with the kids, all those dinner meetings, all the travel he does for work, all of the extras he has put in to make himself as successful and important as he perceives himself to be, will go away because he would be expected to be home pulling his weight. Your job allows him to do his job, which means his salary is split between you two. It is not his money to decide how to spend and that you get less than him. You two are full partners, or it's not a marriage. Reply 4. Since 2 of your children are not of school age, I would start hiding a little money away every month. Open an account in your own name and don't tell him about it. Reply 5. NTA. He used this method to clearly define you as someone beneath him and his friend. This is not a marriage, it's servitude, which whatever reward he deems you worthy of. I hope you and your children can escape this mess. My ex used to tell our children they did not have to listen to me or respect me because I earned nothing. I got away, and you better believe they now listen to me and respect me. Response 6. NTA. Your husband's attitude is out of line. I absolutely hate it when sole providers act like this, treating their partners like lesser beings who should be grateful for every penny spent on them. As a sole provider myself, it enrages me. It costs me absolutely nothing to treat my partner like an equal. Additionally, you could always run the numbers by him, how much full-time nannies and housekeepers make, and remind him as a stay-at-home mom, you damn well have a job and provide a service he should be grateful for. The argument isn't about you having to ride economy, it's the principle and what it implies. You are not worthy of first class and you should be grateful he thought of you to begin with. What a joke. You were right to be offended and take a stand against this behavior. He needs to shape up and recognize your worth. Reply 1. Absolutely this. You share the responsibilities of the household. He happens to be the one working outside the home, but that doesn't make him more worthy. Also, I'm just wondering if something else is going on with those two. A true friend would have said, "Oh my gosh, this is awful. I'm switching seats with you, so you sit with your spouse," and not argued with you. Not the a-hole. Reply 2. I think there's something else between the friend and the husband too. The husband prefers his friends over his wife for sure. They go on trips together every year, but the husband can't go with his wife. They want to sitting together without the wife, even if she's a part of the trip. It doesn't seem to be a healthy friendship here. Reply 3. I think there's something else between the friend and the husband too, for sure. Whether it's just the two of them whoring around or even just going to sporting events, or the two of them being secret lovers in the nighttime, is immaterial. He has a relationship with this friend that he places above his relationship with his wife, to the extent that he belittles his wife when she questions his treating the friend better than the wife. Reply 4. Oh yeah, the friend is rude to her because they both are dating/married to the same man. Any friend of my husband's would insist I take the first-class seat. Reply 5. My ex-husband did this, treating me like I was contributing nothing and not valuing my labor, so we got divorced. He discovered how much family I was creating in his life and how much I nurtured and nourished our relationship. His adventures in dating and trying to replace me have been humbling. We would literally still be happily married if he had treated me with respect and valued what tangibles and intangibles I bring to the marriage. He effed around and found out. He absolutely would get back with me in a hot second if I were open to it, and I am not. He knows. He knows he will never find someone as loving, compatible, and passionate as I am, someone who is as invested in him and his success and our future together as I was. I still care about him as a person and respect him as the father of our child, but I will never love him the way I did or trust him in a romantic relationship. You don't know my value? You don't know how to appreciate what you have? That is not a me problem. Good for you for supporting your partner and recognizing her worth is beyond rubies and pearls. Response 7, NTA. I saw someone comment earlier somewhere else saying if you've agreed for a SAHP, then all money earned is your plural money, as you're doing half the work still, at least. Reply 1. I'm a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids. 2 of them are underage for school, so I'm 24/7 with them. Even I'm working, kids make it hard to commit to work hours. Reply 2. Exactly. So what your partner earns also belongs to you. For instance, if I had a 20,000-pound job and my wife had a 30,000 pounds and I became a SAHP, to me that means that 30,000 pounds is ours to share in the same way if they were the SAHP, I'd share my 20,000 pounds. So your partner saying it's his money is TA behavior, as he is the one inhibiting you to earn more by letting you be the SAHP. Reply 3. NTA. So you don't work outside the home. Who cares? The average cost of childcare in the US is around $16 for one child, which means that you being a stay-at-home mom is worth at least that much, not accounting for if you do any cooking, cleaning, or housekeeping. His income should be 100% shared assets. If it isn't, and he doesn't allow you access to it, he's financially abusing you. Reply 4. Yep, when I went off maternity leave, I quickly realized it would cost me as much to work as it would to not work, because the cheapest daycare that I had confidence would not leave my baby in a hot van or neglect him was $1,200 a month. I started working online task-type gigs and make $600 to $1,000 a month. Reply 5. Yeah, no carp. Parenting, especially during the first 5 years, is a full-time job and then some. Even after that, kids need their parents. You are not the a-hole for declining to be treated like less than a second-class citizen by your own husband. Does he even like you or value all the effort you make to build your family? He treats you like an annoying nanny. Response 8. My husband said I keep crying about being excluded, and this is what happens when he finally decides to include me. Your husband didn't include you. You were excluded by being put in economy while him and his friend went to first class. His friend is worth more to him than you. You're not the a-hole, and ditch the extra baggie. You'll feel a lot better in the long run. Reply 1. Wonder what the hotel accommodations would have been. Perhaps hubby and friend would have a suite, and you would be assigned to a servant's room in the hotel attic. Do you even know if your husband intended to share a room with you? Reply 2. Or would she even have ended up in the same hotel? Did he even make a reservation for her? Or was she supposed to sleep in the streets since she doesn't technically work? Response 9. NTA. A stay-at-home mom is an equal partner in the relationship. You are not a second-class citizen. The working partner does not have the right to use that to make you feel like trash or that you don't deserve equal treatment. My wife is a stay-at-home mom. I can't imagine us never taking vacations but using that time and money on my friends. Never in my life would I think to book myself a first-class ticket and not her. I very, very frequently believe people in this sub dramatically overuse the word abuse in telling people to leave, divorce, etc. But in this case, this is very, very clearly financial abuse by your husband, who also just sounds like a nasty, cruel person, not the a-hole in any way. And you should probably think pretty hard if this is how your entire relationship works and you want to keep going through that. Reply 1. Yep, he doesn't value OP's work and contribution at all. That simply cannot work with a SAHP/breadwinner dynamic. Response 10. You do work. Every day, no breaks. You care for his children. You sacrificed your place in the job market to stay at home and take care of that side. Does he hire a housekeeper to clean? Does he do it himself? Or do you, OP, clean? What about cooking, laundry, childcare, bill paying, shopping for groceries and household goods? Does he have an army of hired help to ensure his life runs smoothly? Or do you fill that role? If you are filling those roles, then his work is your work. By doing those tasks, you free up his time and remove obligations from him, allowing him to specialize. His ability to do his job effectively is due in large part by his ability to not have to worry over other tasks. His success belongs in part to you. His rewards for those successes are yours as well. If you don't share in the benefits, then why do the work? Why allow him to enjoy these positive aspects of partnership if he doesn't allow you to share in them? This man has no respect and does not deserve a partner, not the a-hole. Reply 1, NTA, thank you for this comment. Spot on. It really bothered me when OP said, I'm a stay-at-home mom and have no job. OP, that is your job. It's a 24/7 job. Don't sell yourself short. And both your husband and his friend, especially the friend, sound like Big Ash. Response 11, NTA, I say this with love, and it will sound harsh. I'm so sorry. Your husband and his best friend are married, so to speak. You are the maid and nanny. If your husband loved and valued all you did for the home, he wouldn't have to think twice about booking a vacation for the both of you. He wouldn't blink at the thought of sitting next to you on a plane. Buying you a first-class ticket wouldn't be an issue. He looks at you as being less than, and you do not deserve that. You deserve to be loved and valued. Take this time to reflect on yourself and your marriage. Do you really want to be in a marriage where you're not even a priority? Reply 1, to be honest, she should divorce. And then he can tell the judge how his money is only his and not theirs, and how she only takes care of the home and kids, and how he deserves vacations and first class because he works while she doesn't do anything productive. It is your money too, OP, and he is an ass. And you did well in blocking the other dude. But I would seriously consider continuing in this relationship as things stand. As Not So Simple and Sweet says, you are not the wife, you are the maid and nanny. You are not even vacation and retirement plan. If you divorce, it will hurt first, but you will be free to pursue fulfilling relationships. So I advise you to go to couples counseling if you stay in this. Not the a-hole. In no way you are the AH. He is an awful and immature person. Response 12. Why doesn't your husband just marry his best friend since he's the only one that matters to him? Not the a-hole. Response NTA. But I can see by putting you in economy, he is telling you that he doesn't want you to come on the trip. I would ask him about that versus discussing the cabin you are sitting in. Reply 1, maybe. But I just asked if I could come, so it wasn't like he was pressured to let me come. It was his call to make eventually. Reply 2, why do you think it's his call to make, whether he goes on vacation without you? These should all be joint decisions. You are wildly undervaluing yourself. Reply 3, I think it's crazy enough that the husband is letting his best friend talk like that to his wife. Like, what the F? Like, yeah, you can have arguments with your spouse, but in what world is it ever appropriate for your friend to insult your significant other? The level of disrespect this husband is showing is disgusting. OP, if you see this, the fact that your husband's friend messaged you like that does not mean you should second-guess yourself. It just shows you that your husband is the ASSHOL. Reply 4. If he's going on all those fun trips with his friends, it's time you do the same. You decide to go somewhere, by yourself, with a friend, your mom, and he stays home with the kids. If he asks who's going to pay, you'll tell him your joint money will be used for it. You're doing your share by being a stay-at-home mom, doing household chores, etc. You have a right to regular fun vacation just as much as he does. In the long run, it would be wise for you to get a job. Not because you're not working right now. You very much are. You just don't get paid. You're financially dependent on your husband, which already is an unfortunate situation to be in. And your husband is the type of person who will hold this over your head and use it to control you. Don't let him. Oh, and if you get a job, you'll be out of the house for part of the day, meaning he will have to pick up part of the household chores you are currently doing. Reply 5. So much this. OP, I think you should sit down for a moment and run some numbers. Add up all the daycare costs he'd have paid over all the years you've been a stay-at-home mom, plus the cost of an overnight nanny, since you are on for childcare 24/7. Add in what a weekly housekeeper would cost. Add in some to cover all the errands, doctor appointments, home maintenance stuff, and other things you take care of that have to be done during business hours that he'd have had to take in time off work for if you weren't there. Add some to cover every time a child has been sick and he hasn't had to call in to work to care for them because you are there. Your work is valuable. You may not be bringing in a paycheck, but you are most certainly doing work that he would have to pay for if you were not there. Sure, a lot of that work is expected, but it still has value. You are the reason he can afford fancy trips, because his costs are minimized by the work that you do day in and day out. You are not the a-hole. It's rude to invite your wife on a trip and then sit in luxury sipping champagne with your buddy, while the person you ostensibly love and adore till death do you part sits back behind you in steerage, hoping they don't run out of Diet Coke by the time she gets her tiny punch cup worth. It's also crazy rude for him to go on frequent international vacations with his friend while you and the kids sit at home. If he deserves vacations because he's earned it, then you deserve them too. You have also earned them. You have the right to go on vacations with friends, same as he does. And you and him haven't been on a vacation together in years? Did you mean just as a couple, or are you saying you've not taken a family vacation either? Because if he is prioritizing friend vacations over family vacations, both in using his vacation time and financially, your kids are going to notice eventually. Why does dad get to take frequent non-business trips, but mom never gets to go anywhere? Why doesn't dad take US on vacation? Response 14, flowery different nose apparatus meeting shocking slave cough, brave crush. This post was mass deleted and anonymized with Response 15, NTA, this reeks of financial abuse. Stand your ground. You take care of the kids so he can work, so the money belongs to both of you. This awful friend needs to go as soon as possible. Reply 1, agree, not the a-hole. Write him up an invoice for the hours of childcare he doesn't have to pay as a result of you staying home, since he thinks you don't work or contribute to his paycheck in any way. Response TA. Ma'am, you're not his wife to him. You're the hired help. That's all. He feels like he is paying you to cook, clean, have sex with him, and produce children. You're not an equal, and you should frankly find a good divorce lawyer and take him to the cleaners. Response 17, NTA. Your husband and his friend are having a bromance, and it sounds next level. Nudge, nudge, know what I mean. He totally disrespects you, and I think you really should be rethinking the entire relationship. Response NTA. But you have other problems. Why are you putting up with him? He has no respect for your contribution to the family. He goes on luxurious overseas trips every year with his friend, but not his wife. You finally get to go, and he puts you in steerage like you're an employee and sits in luxury with his friend. If you had stuck with the trip, I wouldn't be surprised to be reading he shared a hotel suite with his friend while you got to go to the youth hostel. Oh, and let's not forget the cherry on top. The friend messaging you to insult you and making it clear that he has the power to decide whether or not your husband takes you on vacation. This situation is beyond ridiculous. What on earth are you doing with this guy? Please see a counselor about this. You need someone to talk to about why you are putting up with this. Response 9TA. Your husband is sending a clear message that you are less important to him than his friend, and that you are worth less than either of them. Get counseling or get out. Response 20. NTA. Your husband and his friend are to the 10th power. Hope you realize that your husband doesn't value your contributions to the family and household and has you under financial abuse. Plus, he most likely didn't speak highly of you to his beloved friend. Please reassess your living circumstances with your ingrate husband, because all I see is utter contempt by him when you should have flown first class with them. You shouldn't be his second-class citizen.